Welcome to the session of the General Assembly. I hope all of you are as excited as I am after such a wonderful retreat. It was a great weekend. Can we please get a round of applause for all the members of Exec and Colleen and all the people that contributed to this wonderful retreat we had this weekend? With that, we'll begin with attendance. Secretary Brown.
Okay, remember you guys are present and voting if you're an elected member. So, Representative Ridgway.
Present and voting.
Representative Rangaswamy. Representative Toomey. Representative Gladys. Representative Alvarado. Representative Shah. Representative Samir Shah. Representative Stump. Representative Payne. Representative Pfister. Representative Ruska. Representative Lee. Representative Competti. Representative Liu. Representative Lindell. Representative Cole. Representative Wetterston. Representative Butcher. Representative Thomas. Representative Ladelfa. Representative McHenry.
Present voting.
Representative Thompson.
Present voting.
Representative Wu.
Present voting.
Representative Heck.
Present voting.
Representative Zhu. Representative McCormick.
Present voting.
Representative Smith. Theo.
Present voting.
Representative Fitch. Representative Sabe. Representative Arumagasamy.
Present voting.
Representative Moeller.
Present voting and amazed by the USG bullet points.
Representative Paul.
Present and voting.
Representative Malloy.
Present voting.
Representative Smith Devon. Representative Gallo. Representative Williams.
Present and voting.
Representative DeBoz. Speaker Rodenzik.
Present.
Treasurer Schloff. Treasurer Trung.
Present.
Parliamentarian McKee.
Present.
VP Dooner.
Present voting.
Vice President Cruz. Vice President Cummins.
Present voting.
Vice President Shah.
Present voting.
Vice President Hale.
Present voting.
President Agarwal.
Present voting.
Great. Now, if you'll join me in rising for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll begin tonight's business with committee reports. President Agarwal.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for a fabulous retreat. What I plan to do, I think after this retreat, is I'm going to send out like an evaluation, Google survey, Google form evaluation. I hope all those that attend will please fill it out. Names optional, but I think it really does help. It's going to help the next assembly and next executive board and president to plan the retreat and really tailor it to the assembly's wants and needs. So when you get a chance, if you could fill out that evaluation, that'd be great. Next, our next GA, which is actually not a GA, it's going to be administrator speed dating, and I talked about this briefly during the retreat, but I'm going to explain it again. It's going to be next Tuesday in place of GA. So it does count for attendance. It is mandatory. Please be there. Secretary Brown will be taking attendance, but administrator speed dating, it's going to be in Twing Atrium. And please make this change for me. It's not, I would like you to be at the USG office, not at 6:45, but 6:15, please. 6:15 in the USG office, because we will have a reception with the administrators at 6:30 p.m. Up till the start of the event, which is at 7. So I'm going to be, I ask you to come at 6:15 because I'd like to basically brief all of you about what's going to happen, who is there, take attendance, and then at 6:30 we'll all go out to the atrium and sort of mix and mingle, have some refreshments with the administrators, and the actual event will begin at 7 p.m. And this is how administrator speed dating works for all of you who have never heard of it before. I've basically invited about 30 to 40 administrators, all across the board, from security, athletics, academics, provosts, deans, you name it. Athletics, I might have said that already, bon appetit. And what's gonna happen is they're gonna sit at tables and in Twing Atrium, and you guys are gonna be in groups of 3. Representatives will be in groups of 3 or 4, and basically you're gonna go to each table and meet the administrators and find out about what their role is in the university, what their responsibilities are, basically establishing context. This is a very, very valuable opportunity to meet a lot of important people in one place. So you'll get about 5 minutes with each group of administrators, and it's gonna be very fast. It's speed dating. So make most of your time. I'm gonna send out a list of the administrators that have confirmed that they're gonna be attending so that you can think about what you might wanna ask them. So please be prepared for that. Also, dress will be business casual or better. So also keep that in mind. Next, for execs business, during open forum today, I'd like to talk a little bit about our vacancy situation and propose a method for handling vacancies in the future. So be aware for that, be ready for that in open forum. And USG office security. So what we've noticed is you might have seen that USG keeps its doors open all the time. It could be even late into the evening, and it's become a bit of a security issue where we've been getting things stolen from our office. So what we would like to do is exec is looking into alternative door security options. UPB and Media Board have card swipe options for their doors right now. So right now we just use keys, and we lock them whenever we're around. So we're going to be looking into those and talking more about it at our exec meeting. So if you're interested in learning about door security and giving your input about that, join us at exec on Thursday, 11:30 a.m. in the office. With that, I'm open to points.
Any points for the speaker? Thank you, President Agarwal. Vice President Hale?
Retreat was awesome, first point. Just a couple new things that I learned about just recently. Otherwise, not too much has changed since last week. RHA actually took care of the lighting problem already from last week. There were a bunch of issues with lights not coming on time. The elephant stairs are very dark right around 9 p.m. And facilities apparently reset the program, and everything's going swimmingly according to the South Residential Village coordinators. So things have been double checked. Everything seems like it's okay. So props to RHA for taking care of that, but we're good to go. Also, Bon Appetit was well aware of the Denny's sound problem, and apparently it's already been taken care of. So we're good to go on both those fronts. One last thing, committee meeting this Friday, September 23rd. It'll be at 12:30 p.m. in the Spartan Room. The Spartan Room is the only thing I didn't know when I turned this into the agenda. And regular meeting times will be at 1 p.m. on Friday. So this Friday is special at 12:30. I realize it overlaps with finance, but it was the best time to get as many people from the committee as possible. So with that, I'm open to points.
Any points for the speaker? Vice President Cruz.
Just from personal experience, the sound issue with Denny's is not taken care of.
Cool.
Their music came on really loud, like 1:30 last night.
You live in AKO, right? Cool.
Any further points? Thank you, Vice President Hale.
Thanks.
Vice President Shaw.
Good evening, GA. Retreat was fan-flippin-tastic. Last week on the Finance Committee, we had an important decision to make, and that was regarding the CWRU capital loan. The request was denied because 3/4 of the committee did not approve. So they will be coming in this week to the Finance Committee for appeals. If you would like to sit in on the meeting, the Finance Committee meets at 12:30, and you are welcome to join us. Also, the past 2 weeks, we've given out a little over $3,000 in rolling funding out of the $6,500 requested. and we still have about 7,500 left. I am passing a bill currently, so you will be able to view all the rolling funding requests that were made. I am open to points.
Points for the speaker? Ms. Perlaska.
Just as a point of inquiry, sorry. At what point do appeals reach the GA? Is it after they appeal to the Finance Committee?
If the Finance Committee does not approve their appeals, they will come to GA to appeal.
Any further points? Thank you, Vice President Shaw.
Thank you.
All right. Treasurer Schlaf or Trung, would you like to make any comments?
Just note that office hours, there's a little bit of change. On Monday, it's actually 12 to 1:45. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, there are, it has been changed from previous weeks. And also Friday, 1:45 to 3:15, if you'd like to come by and check out with us.
And I wanted to say that it's so nice to walk into this room and know everyone now that retreat is over. So that's pretty cool to know like 50 other people. My treasurer tip of the week is if you need tutoring in pretty much any of your classes, you can go on tutortrack.case.edu. It's not a typo. There's no K in track. It's really helpful. You get 5 hours of free tutoring per week. So take advantage of that.
Any points for our treasurers? Thank you. Vice President Cummins.
Just one little comment on my board report. FISCU met today. There was a little bit of traction made concerning tracks and concentrations within your major being added to your diploma. So that's kind of cool. And also, Shengbo is Shengbo. If you want to know what he did, come to Academic Affairs Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Any points?
Any points for the speaker? All right. Seeing none, thank you. Vice President Cruz.
Hey guys. Everything's pretty much in my board report. Yes, classes yesterday and today both were like, oh, there's so much fun this past weekend. Just some main PR points from retreat that we talked about. We need to have more presence on campus this year. People don't know that we even exist. We really want to support our student orgs more than just through money. We want to like go to their events, be there for them, because that's really what our role needs to become. It's what it should have been before. USG Pride. Why are we all here if we don't love it? We need to start showing it. And then lastly, and potentially most importantly, I don't know, depends on how you feel about it, PR structure this year is going to be a little bit different. We're going to try something new out for the first few weeks, see how it works. If it doesn't work, we can always bounce back to what we had before. Just something that's changing. Meeting this week will be at 6:30 on Thursday night. You're all welcome to come. I would love it. Then my office hours are, I think, printed for the first time this week. But I'm open to points.
Any points for Vice President Cruz? Representative Williams.
When will the representative spotlights be starting?
This coming week. Oh, also, that reminds me, something I forgot to put in my board report. As we are trying to encourage, I guess, getting USG's name out this year, starting next week, will be a semester-long competition to see who can bring the most friends to USG. So at the end of the semester, we'll tally up who brought the most people, and there will be a prize yet undetermined. So bring your friends. We're not too scary, I hope.
All right, thank you, Vice President Cruz. Vice President Dooner.
Hey everyone. So I guess the news from today is Scott and I had a meeting with the lady that runs Blackboard, talking about the mobile app for smartphones. And there's some good news and some bad news. The good news is there is a mobile app, and the free version is now enabled. The bad news is it will only work if you have an iPhone and you're on the Wi-Fi, or you have an Android phone with Sprint. And the reason is because of business decisions between Blackboard and those carriers or something. So we asked nicely for them to consider entering a contract with Blackboard for that. We'll see how that goes. So then we also talked about Blackboard alternatives. They're going to be trying Moodle in the spring again. Moodle was tried last semester. It was pretty good. I don't know if anyone used Moodle, if anyone had a class with it or not, how they felt. I'd be interested in hearing. But yeah, let's see. Everything else is there's a Media Vision focus group, I think, that Kirsten might be trying to get together. And if anyone's interested, if anyone has Media Vision opinions, there's a link there to the survey, or to the survey. And I'm open to points.
Representative McHenry.
Point of information, the reason that Blackboard Mobile Learn works for Sprint but not any other carriers is because Sprint and Blackboard have a business deal together that it does not have with any other carrier. So,
yep.
Just wanted to put that.
Any further points for the speaker? All right, thank you, Vice President Dooner. Parliamentarian McKee.
So there are going to be 2 tips this week. The first one is printed. If you're confused about Robert's Rules at all, my office hours are a great way to learn more. 4:15 to 5:15, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the bonus tip is a question that I had come up today before Assembly, was call the previous question, which is one of the more confusing of the motions that can be made. So a call to previous question occurs whenever we are in discussion on a motion, and it is used whenever you want to end discussion and bring a vote on that motion. So if you call the previous question, you don't move to previous question or any of the other wordings. It's a call to previous question. Then the Speaker of the Assembly will ask if there's any dissent to ending discussion on the bill. So it's a vote by acclamation, and if you want to keep talking, then you would dissent. And otherwise, it would go into either, if there's no dissent or if it passes a 2/3 vote, then we would move into a vote on the bill or resolution or motion.
Any points for Parliamentarian McKee? All right, thank you. Commissioner Perlowski, would you like to make any comments?
The wrap-ups in the board report, I mostly just want to thank everyone for coming out and chalking and flyering and attacking people in their dorms, because I think we've got really great results, and I have every faith that we'll be able to fill this commuter rep. So I'm going to pass on the whole list of commuters to Parliamentarian McKee to kind of issue a call for interest and such, so I'm open to points.
President Agarwal.
I and the rest of the executive board would personally like to thank Commissioner Perlowski for her hard work. I can't remember the last time we had an election with no violations, no runoffs, no nothing. It's a miracle, and you did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but I am so incredibly pleased that that happened. It was magic. I hope you get it next year. It was great.
Any further points for the speaker? Right. Thank you, Commissioner Perlowski. President Agarwal, if at this time you'd like to introduce some of our guests.
Yes, thank you. We have 2 guests with us this evening, the first of whom is Mr. Chris Vlahos. He is the Associate Vice President of Alumni Relations. Chris.
Thank you, Divvy. First thing I'm going to do is take a picture or 2. Hang on. Oh, awesome. Okay, one more. All right, Divya. Oh, nice. And I'm taking a picture because I'll be tweeting this to the alumni universe. CWRU Alumni DIR. How cool is that? I guess not that cool, but, you know. Well, I really want to express my thanks to Divya and Colleen for inviting me, but then again, it wasn't so much of an invitation as much as I said I want to be here. I want to be here to meet with you. USG is important to the university. You're important to me. And some of you remember when I was here March, April, I had just joined the university a few months earlier, wanted to meet with you then. And I understand that we now have the entire brand new USG board. You came off a great retreat, which I hear awesome things about. And so this kind of fall semester greeting is something that I'd like to do every academic year. So really appreciate the opportunity to be here. One of the other reasons that I'm here is I was kind of one of you. I was a student leader at my alma mater, Ohio State. I did everything but USG. It's because I didn't have time to devote fully to USG, but I really get being a student leader and knowing what it's like to balance academics, social activities, leadership activities like this, work. It's a tremendous load, and kudos to you for doing what you do. You were very important to this campus. I mean, you're great leaders. The campus looks very favorably upon you, and I think that there are probably more students that realize who you are, what you do, than you may realize. I think your reputation probably precedes you on campus. But you know, the reason I want to get to know you and other campus leaders is that you are advocates. You're advocates for the university, and to some degree, you're advocates for the Alumni Association. And so I do want to have a great relationship with USG, and begin to foster this. So a few weeks ago, I had the privilege, actually a lot of fun for me, to be at the stadium to address the incoming freshman class. Now, how many of you are freshmen? Are they all supposed to sit in the same area? Where this was the event where the orientation leaders led you all in a dance, and it was very cool, and you formed the word CWRU, right? And do you remember the speech I gave? 1 out of the 5 remembers. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Kevin, were you there? Did I see you today in Twing? You did. Okay, so quick story. I'm walking around Twing, and I see this line of students around noon, and I'm hungry. And so I kind of walk up and I say, so what's going on? And Kevin says, well, it's free food. Program board's putting on the food, right? I said, great. And then he said, it's for students only. Quite the smackdown, but okay, I get it. I'm not the student. All right, I digress. So anyway, I'm at Welcome Days, and I guess I've been maybe getting a reputation around campus for being very student-friendly, of course, as a former student leader, obviously. And for the first time, I was invited to speak to Welcome Days. And so I'm standing there at the microphone looking at the stadium, 924 freshmen, thinking, they're going to look at me as the old alumni director. Am I right? You probably thought, what's the alumni guy doing? Well, so I talked in terms of, this is your first official week on campus, but this is the beginning of not just a 4-year journey. This is the beginning of a lifetime affiliation with this university. You are literally Spartans for life. Then I did something really risky. I don't know why I did this, but I thought I'm going to lead them in a cheer. I made it up on the spot. And I said, now you guys remember this. I said, all right, when I say Spartans, you say for life. I thought, oh my goodness. And so I yelled, Spartans, and in unison, you all yelled, for life. Thank you. And then I did it again, and I did it again. Was that cool? Was that just awesome? I'm glad that 1 of the 5 remember. But you know, the best part about giving those remarks is the Observer the following week ran an editorial about school spirit and actually reported on that. And they called me up by name and said that no previous alumni director has ever spoken to students in such a different and direct manner. And I don't say that to take credit for anything that I did. I say that because it's very cool when the undergraduate newspaper acknowledges that alumni have a message for students, which is you're part of this university for life. This is really important for me, and I feel like I'm doing evangelical work because during my student days, again, I did everything. Greek system, homecoming, honoraries, student program board, you name it. I worked my way through school. But my senior year, I was focused on one thing, and that was getting out. I was focused on getting my internship, getting the job, moving to New York City, which I eventually did, and that's really what I did. Except that my senior year, we had a student leadership retreat, and the alumni director at Ohio State showed up and he said, you know, you are student leaders, that's great, but this is just the beginning of your journey with your alma mater. And that thought just hadn't occurred to me. I mean, as involved as I was, Buckeye for life, right? It was all about me as I was matriculating. And I took that message to heart, moved to New York City, called the alumni director and said, I'm here in New York, I want to get involved with the New York alumni chapter. And that began a 20 years of involvement with my alma mater. They eventually hired me, and that's how I got in the business, and really privileged to be here. But you know, I guess I want you to stay connected, just like I told the incoming class. I want you to stay connected, and that this is just the beginning of your relationship with the university. I mentioned early on that I think that you're advocates, and you certainly are. if there's anything that I can ask you to do, it's to talk up this notion of being a Spartan for life, being connected with the university for life. When you're in your student organization meetings, you meet your fraternity brothers and sisters, sorority sisters. When you are at athletic events, anything you do on campus where you interact with your students, just make sure that your friends and colleagues know that they're in this for life as well. And that's, I think, the most important thing that I could ask of you. I continue to be so impressed with the students here. I mean, coming from two public institutions, Ohio State and Arizona, really great students, but I found that the students here are really just a cut above. Driven, motivated, passionate, focused. I think those words describe most people in this room. I happened to be speaking to a student last week whom I've gotten to know pretty well, and I said, so how's your semester going? And she said, well, I just had to drop a class. And I said, why'd you drop a class? And she said, it was too easy. I wasn't challenged enough. You never hear that, but you do hear that at Case Western Reserve University. Not being challenged enough, that is awesome. I guess in the alumni world, we're number 38 in the country, U.S. News, awesome. I mean, that is so cool to move up 3 spaces. That deserves it really does. But there are many factors that go into this ranking, and reputation plays a role, but part of the reputation of a university is due to the success of its alumni. And we can proudly say, look at our 106,000 alumni and look at what they're doing to make this university stronger. And I have confidence that as you all matriculate and you get out in the real world, we'll be very proud of you, and your success will bode very well for this university. So anyway, we'd love to come back at some other point and speak. I know you've got a busy agenda, but thank you very, very much for the opportunity. Have a great fall semester, and looking forward to seeing many of you around campus soon, and certainly Kevin in the food line too sometime. That'll be great. Thank you, everyone.
Does anybody have 1 or 2 questions for Vice President Blahos? If not, you can email them to me and I can pass them on to Chris, but thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Divya, appreciate that.
Thank
All right, thanks everyone.
All right, okay, and right on to our next speaker for the evening is Ms. Kirsten Nagel, and she is the Manager of Marketing, Communications, and Training for ITS. Kirsten?
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm happy to come back and talk whenever you would like me to, at any time, about any subject. Thanks to Tom, I've been meeting with him regularly and speaking with him about a host of questions, issues, all those other types of things. So I brought a couple questions, stories for you, just to bring you up to date for those of you who didn't have the opportunity to hear me speak, as many of the freshmen did over the last several months. We actually have a fairly unique onboarding system for our new students. Those of you that are seniors and juniors, unfortunately, I wasn't around for those years. We're actually white papering this and presenting this to other universities, how the IT organization is bringing in their students and making them aware of all the different products that are available to them at the university. This year we actually created a new piece of literature at the time of move-in to help people through those times and answer the exact questions that they may have at that time of how to get connected to the network and exactly what to do and what cable goes where and who to call for help, kind of real-time questions. And that actually cut down on the number of calls coming into the service desk significantly. We also have a whole team of people actually walking room to room during the hours of move-in to make sure that if anybody has any questions, we can answer them kind of real-time as things are happening. ITS also sponsors 3 luncheons during the orientation events where we have an opportunity to meet with all the students and their parents and talk to them about the different services that are available so that they don't go out and spend unnecessary money on different things and just let them know what's ahead for them once they arrive here. And it kind of helps reduce anxiety and gets everybody a little bit more comfortable with what to expect. But this whole process actually begins in December when I start working on the new student programs as early as the admit package and through open houses and right in through the summer. So it's a very, very large project. It does have visibility. It is a part of the project portfolio for the division, so it is on record while it's open. I just completed it for this year. So that is visible to anybody that's curious, should it come up again next year. Go ahead. As many of you know, we added a new network just recently called Case Wireless. It's the new wireless network, and I'll just say out of the gate, I am the non-technical IT person, so those of you that are very technical, please be nice to me. I will take back any questions you have and come back later. But Case Wireless is about 5 times faster than Case Guest. You do not need to use the VPN while on Case Wireless. It is encrypted and secure all by itself. You will pass through your single sign-on, and then you'll be on a secure network when using Case Wireless. You still do need to use VPN if you are off campus, or using Case Guest if you need a secure connection or authenticated connection. Now, I understand that some students had problems getting onto Case Wireless the first time. We found that about 80% of the time it was password issues. That simply by changing your password, it eliminated those challenges that they had. Because of the many, many different variations of which computer, which browser, which operating system, and all those different things, it's impossible to fix everything kind of on the fly. If anybody has any ongoing problems and they're unable to get on Case Wireless and they want to, please bring your machines to one of the care centers and have one of the technicians help you. Does anybody have any questions on that subject? Okay, because I've heard some different things. So Blackboard. We did upgrade over the summer from 8.0 to 9.1. It did change the look and feel of Blackboard a little bit. There is training available out on lynda.com, which I will talk to you a little bit, but if you want to learn more about how to use Blackboard and the intricacies of it, it is available out there for you. There is a new Blackboard, not new, it has been enabled for the mobile app. It is not necessarily public information yet. That is in pilot right now because we are still trying to get all of the support issues worked out at the service desk side. So we have not gone and made any big announcements yet about the Blackboard app just yet because we're trying to get everything into place to make sure that once people do try to use it, that we've got everything so if somebody calls the service desk and they can't get to it, they can give them accurate information and exactly work through any challenges that they may have. There is a known Blackboard issue as a part of that upgrade to 9.1 with PDFs. I've outlined it here if you're having any issues with PDFs to try using Chrome to get through it. There's some problems in Safari and Firefox, I guess. And they also have a solution here for faculty. So if you're having ongoing problems with one of your faculty members, you may also bring this solution to them as well. And I will work it on the flip side also through the faculty side and try to help them, make them aware of these issues and how to correct them. Okay? Right, good. So lynda.com. How many of you have used lynda.com? Oh dear. Okay. So how many of you have no idea what lynda.com is and you're looking at me like I'm a crazy person? Okay. So lynda.com was launched about a year ago. It is a free service to all faculty, staff, and students. It is free and unlimited training in a whole host of applications that you may be interested in or not. There are over 1,000 different titles of software or programs that you can take classes on at any point in time. They're broken down in about 3-minute segments, and as long as 8 hours of information are out there. There's everything from any of the Adobe products, any of the Microsoft Office products, Blackboard, Google, any of the programming languages, social media, whatever you could possibly want. Case is actually being held up as one of the pretty big adopters of lynda.com. We've had quite a bit of success. A lot of people are actually using this on a regular basis. What's nice is if you need to know how to do a specific task within Excel, gee, I wish I knew how to do this, you can go in, look that up, it'll show it to you like in 3 minutes, and then you can go and do it and move on. You don't have to sit there for hours and hours in a software training class. So it's a really neat service and helpful as you get into things and trying to learn new tools or downloading new things from the Software Center. We are changing our license in the next couple of weeks with lynda.com. Right now, when you log in as Case Western Reserve University. It doesn't recognize you as a person. We're changing that license so it will recognize you. So when you go in through your single sign-on, it will remember you, it will remember what classes you took, it will remember where you left off in your training, it will allow you to achieve this different certificates that are available within lynda.com. So please watch out for that, and I'll keep you informed. There is always a constant. Yes, Quentin. Okay, go ahead. Okay. Oh, no, it's interactive videos. It's all interactive videos taught by the experts. And I will make note also that you cannot just simply go to lynda.com, and please note it's LYNDA. You do have to go through our special portal, which is at case.edu/ITS/Lynda, to get into it, because it has to pass you through our authentication so it recognizes you as part of the university. Okay? There is always a slew of Software Center updates, especially at the beginning of semesters. So please just kind of watch out for those. You can always watch for what news is available on the front page of ITS at case.edu ITS. But Lion is out there, Creative Suite 5.5, and all sorts of other things. So please watch it. That's where you can stay aware of what's going on. m.case.edu is another service that many students aren't aware of and haven't really fully embraced it. Launchpad.case.edu is the desktop version of this that some people use just when they log into their computers and they go to, and it's a nice portal for all things crew. M.case is kind of our mobile intranet, for a lack of better terms. It will take you on the go. It will provide you a campus map, the commuter shuttle bus schedule. It'll give you menus for the day for what's available in all the different dining halls. It'll tell you what's open and what's not. It'll give you e-suds so you can see what's going on with your laundry machine, so you know when you can go wash your laundry next. So it's a pretty neat little tool. If you're not using it, please log in, check it out, and you can download, even though it's not a true app, you can download that icon and make it appear as if it's an app on your mobile device. If you don't know how to do that, go to help.case.edu and you can find out how to do that. Google Apps, your email boxes over the summer were increased to 25 gigs of storage space rather than 7.5, which is where it was at the close of last year. We also added I believe 36 new Google apps to our environment over the summer. There is a whole list of them at help.case.edu, but rather than having to log in separately into Google Apps, there you can now use your at case.edu account to get into all these other apps like Picasa and Reader and all those other things without leaving the case.edu environment.
I know Google Plus recently came out. Is there any
That
progress
is
on-
not in
Yeah, I know.
there yet.
Yeah. Are you?
Yet.
Okay, cool.
Okay. If you have any recommendations for apps that you really have to have, I'm your representative for ITS, KCN6, just pop me an email, or Tom and I talk regularly. It's fine with me. All the apps that were basically free were the ones that were turned on. It was looked at across the entire university through the CTO. There are some apps that simply don't make sense because we can't track payments of who bought this, that, or the other thing. Tom?
So Google Plus. Anyway, Google Plus apparently is not offered to Case as
Yet.
As a thing to enable. So maybe we can revisit that one if Google does that. And also, if you have like a personal Gmail account in addition to your Case account, you can actually enable multiple sign-in, so you can switch easily between the two. If anyone wants details about that, I can share it with them. But I just wanted to point that out really quickly while we're talking.
Yes.
While we're on this topic, I wanted to ask, our case.edu account is technically not really a Gmail account, because recently I've been wanting to like forward a Gmail account to my case account, forward mail, and it won't allow it because it is at case.edu.
Case.edu is in fact a Gmail account, and
Well, I know that, yeah, I know it is, but Gmail's not accepting it as one.
I
when
think
do
you
want
can
to
only
forward.
go in reverse. I think you can take your case email and forward it to your Gmail account, but I don't think you can take your Gmail and send it to your case account because it is a secure environment. I'm not sure it will allow you to go the other direction.
Okay,
I
that's
don't know that for a fact, but I will look into it and get to Tom, and Tom can send that to you.
I just go on the m.case.edu. There's some like small little luck, like different kinds of app. Is that like we have?
Okay,
to-
so m.case.edu is not a true app. It's a fake app. So in the reason why it's done that way is if you write it in a true app, the languages and the different devices change so often that it would be impossible to keep up with it with the number of items that we have out there. So it's actually a website designed to behave like an app. So you'll see a series of icons, and if you click on those icons, they will take you to the different places that you need to go. Okay, it's just set up if for a mobile read.
So we have to log in like every time for.
Not every time, but once you go through the first time, it's single sign-on. So once you log in the first time through your single sign-on, any other place that you go to that requires a single sign-on, you're already authenticated. So you do have to do that the first time, just like you would into your email.
Representative Paul.
Another point that I would like to bring up is that some people have been having problems with syncing the iPhone app of the mail that comes with their iPhone to their case account. I did it easily, but I was trying to help some other people do it, and she told me that she couldn't do it, so I tried to help her, and I went online to look for the instructions on how to do it, and I did those instructions. It still didn't work, and she told me that she had other friends who've been having the same problem too.
Okay. At help.case.edu in the left-hand column, there is a category that I'm almost positive says crew email. In crew email, there should be a specific sheet dedicated to setting up an iPhone. If for some reason they're having difficulties, please pick up the phone, call 216-368-HELP, and there are people there to help you. It's a free call.
President Agarwal.
GA, in the interest of time, if you have any more questions for Ms. Nagel, please pass them to myself or Tom, and this time we're going to let her finish her presentation for now.
I'll go quickly, I promise.
Take your time.
Just as an informational note, if you're over in the library, there is a new visualization wall going in. It is a 64 square foot series of monitors that are going in that will allow our researchers to actually push different simulations and visualizations to check it out, and they can see colorful pictures of it. It is brand new. It is just going in. There are no details of how to use it or training for it or any of those things yet. But when you go in there, you'll see it going in. You'll wonder what in the world that is. But that's what it is, and so stay tuned for that. Okay. There is also an active collaboration room going in the library. It will be a work group environment that will be set up a little bit differently than you're accustomed to. This is just a sketch of what it might look like, but it is intended to allow for telepresence units and different ways to engage with people around the globe during meetings or classroom type situations. There was also a SIS upgrade that went in August. The menu appears at the top of the screen rather than the left-hand side. If anybody has any problems or questions or any of that stuff, there's all kinds of training materials on how to use the SIS and whatnot, and we can make that available to you at any time. Oh, another good reason to be a Mac. Sorry. Back in June, there was a big event held here called Living the Future Today. It was pretty nifty, and there's some video out on YouTube that you really should check out. But it was a 2-day workshop, and it was co-sponsored by like the White House Office of Science and Technology and the NSF. But they did some demonstrations using the gigabit network and transferring images across the network, and they were able to do things that allowed, for example, 2 surgeons on different sides of the country prepare for a surgery simultaneously that made it look like they were in the same place at the same time, so they could see who was going to do what and touch what and whatever to simulate a surgery. Or 2 dancers that were preparing for a recital, and they were in 2 different places, and they demonstrated one was on stage and one was somewhere else, and they could actually dance in sync because the video time was so quick. So they were trying to show what the speeds of the networks are able to do, and that's all part of the case connection zone, and everything that you're hearing is part of that. So it's really cutting edge research that's going on here. So just so you kind of know what's going on here on the campus as far as technology. Once I walk away from you, you guys are going to forget my name. You're not going to know who I am. In general, ITS has a difficult time communicating with all of you individually. The easiest way for me to reach you, other than going through Tom and having him nag you, is to please be my friend on Facebook. I'm a nice person. But I actually push all of my announcements as far as new software, anything that's new or upcoming or bad, out to Facebook so people are aware of what's going on. So it's the easiest way for me to communicate with you, and if you're not a Facebooker, we've got a Twitter account as well that is getting fed from there. The good part of being my friend is that occasionally I will host raffles or special events, and there's prizes that go along with that. We had a first-year student who won an iPad 2 this week for being my friend. So she's a pretty happy person, you can see there, Alexandra. So there is a courseware initiative going on right now. They are going to be redesigning courseware, and they need some input from students. They need a whole host of different types of students. They're looking at your profile of the types of things that you bring to them. If you go to the Facebook page, there is a link there to put your name in the hat for that. But they're really looking for some people, and there's probably good stuff to come out of that initiative too, if you want to be a part of that. I can't promise you an iPad 2, but I'm sure there's some sort of incentive tied to that. So the last thing is just a reminder: service and support is free and unlimited to all students as a part of ITS. So please make sure that if you need anything, to call us at any point in time. Okay. Thank you. And sorry.
Thank you, Kirsten, for that comprehensive update. And again, if you have any questions regarding ITS issues, you can email Tom, and he can forward them to Ms. Nagel. Speaker Rudensick.
Great. With that, we'll move into caucus reports. As the report for the engineering caucus, start there. Representative Thomas.
I'm just going to stay here. I just wanted to introduce myself as Megan. I'm the new engineering speaker. You can see all the different initiatives that we discussed this weekend. If you are interested in more information, you're free to contact me. But that was it. I also wanted to say that the engineering caucus, if you could see me after this meeting, that would be great. Thank you.
Representative Moeller for Arts and Sciences.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin. So just updating you on a few initiatives the Arts and Sciences caucus has already gotten rolling on. Campus awareness is probably the big one for most caucuses. We reactivated the Facebook page from the 19th Assembly. That was kind of a difficult thing to do. In the next week, all of our representatives will be introducing themselves in class and letting students in those classes know about the feedback form. There's a welcome from the Arts and Sciences on Friday. If you're an Arts and Sciences student, you'll probably get an email about it. Register for that. And although we haven't had a set meeting time yet, I will be having office hours, and I'll be advertising those on the Facebook page.
Thank you. Does first year caucus have a report? Representative Shaw.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Samir Shah, and I would just like to say we're all really happy to be here for our freshman caucus, so yay. Although we are the freshman caucus, we would love to say that we are very motivated, and some of the initiatives that we'd like to take a look at this year, or at least immediately, are pertaining to the freshman class, homesickness, and making friends and making connections. Pertaining to the school as a whole, we would like to do something about augmenting school spirit in academics and also during sporting events. And I'd like to briefly introduce our representatives, Representative Stump, Representative Alvarado, Representative Payne, Representative Gladys, and Representative Rangaswamy, along with Representative Connor Toomey and Representative Ridgway. So, thank you very much. No points.
Thank you. Any points for a speaker? All right, thank you. Is there a report for the Weatherhead Caucus? All right. Anything for the Nursing Caucus? No. All right, thank you. Okay, with that, we will move into old business. Vice President Hale.
Second.
All right. Is there a speaker in the pro? Vice President Dooner.
Yes. Okay. This is how it goes. All right, so last week we looked briefly at this bill, which I guess we're not going to be voting on today, but we will vote on it at some point in the distant future. The idea is that we will be voting with iClickers. This requires a small change to our bylaws to accomplish. So in that sense, the amendment is up here as written currently in the bill. So what's going to happen, I think, as soon as I get down from the podium is we're going to have a little bit of a discussion as to how this works with the bylaws, because notice the key part to this is that there's this voting order in section G. So roll call vote is the most accountable, the most accurate, I guess, the most highest precedence vote, and then it goes down. Currently, it's secret ballot, hand vote, voice vote, and acclamation, which is just, which is just lack of dissent. So then, what we're thinking is to sandwich electronic vote in between roll call and secret, but this doesn't quite gel very well, because electronic voting really does two different things. It allows you to take a roll call vote, which is every single person and how they vote. It allows you to do that very efficiently, but it also allows you to take a hand vote very efficiently. So we really want to provide two different ways of using electronic voting rather than lumping it all together in there, in between secret and roll call vote. So as soon as I get down from here, I'm going to move to amend it as such. We have that all planned out, I think. And is anyone really confused what's going on? I mean, I guess I'm open to points. And then
President Agarwal.
Could the speaker describe how we move through each of the types of voting?
Sure. So by default, the Speaker Rudensic picks the voting method of every vote. Correct? Yes. So we generally start on hand vote, and from there we can move up or down. It takes any one of us can say, I move to vote by roll call vote, and then bam, we're voting by roll call vote. No second, no nothing. It's because it should be easy to be more accountable. It should be easier to move to a greater precedence. However, to move down a level, it takes a 3/4 majority of GA. So this is really the difference here, because we were thinking in order to move down to a secret ballot, it would take 3/4 majority, and sometimes that might be nice. So there's that. I guess, yeah, is that good? Cool.
Representative Malloy.
Can you clarify the amendment you said you plan on making?
I'll do that when I make the amendment, I guess. All it does is add a level below secret ballot, and then it breaks electronic voting into two parts. One is where every vote is tied to the person that cast it, and one where it's only aggregate, like a hand vote would be.
Representative Shaw, did you have a point?
Yeah, I used the eye-clickers that like we use in like the iPad.
Yeah, to clarify this one, to clarify, you don't need to buy an iClicker for this. We can borrow them from the Student Affairs office. So we'll be doing, it'll be a process that we'll go through to borrow them before every GA, and no one will have to worry about that. You just have to vote with them, and it's free. I mean, it doesn't cost anybody anything.
Representative Williams.
I've actually never been in a class that has used an iClicker, but is there any kind of risk of like malfunction or some kind of a vote going awry because of this? Or would there be like an auditing system like every now and then to make sure that the electronic vote would sync up with what would actually be occurring?
In my experience, they're very reliable. It tells you, it actually goes back to your remote after you cast your ballot, and it turns green if it was accepted. So you know that if your vote isn't working, and then I've never had that happen. I think in general these things are very reliable.
Representative Sabe.
If we're borrowing them, how will they be linked to our name? Like, how will they be linked to us?
That's a little bit of an open question right now. There are a couple methods we're going to be looking at. It might just be when you walk in the Tepfer room, you sign it out with one of us or something. Or it might be a more technological solution where there might be a program that does this, and you just like hit the button when it pops your name up on the screen. We might do that during attendance or something.
All right. Any further points for the speaker before we move into discussion? All right. Thank you, Vice President Dooner. I'd like to remind the General Assembly that this bill will need to be retabled after our discussion. We cannot vote on it this week because, according to our bylaws, it needs to be advertised to the campus. So we are not voting on this tonight. This will simply be discussion and then a retabling. And we are going to set 10 minutes for discussion on this. And do we have a speaker in the con? All right. Seeing none, we move into discussion. Vice President Dooner.
So if Matt can pull up my proposed amendment here. So I move to amend adding an electronic vote below secret ballot. Also change, and then this will be called, change it to anonymous electronic vote, which will be only in aggregate. And then also I move to add a whereas clause to the bill, where like whatever I said in that email that I sent. I forget what it said. Whereas electronic voting methods can allow two new distinct methods of voting. Votes where each voting member is accountable for his or her vote, which is the electronic vote, and votes where numbers of results are presented in aggregate only. That's the anonymous electronic vote. So I move to make that amendment. Second.
Okay. There's been a move to amend, and it has been seconded. Is there any dissent? Representative Williams.
I guess I'm just curious right now because I'm just trying to figure out like why we would have this be anonymous. I just kind of feel like it'd be easier if we just did a roll call, not roll call, sorry, a hand vote at that point. So, I mean, I'm not quite sure what the difference would be.
Parliamentarian McKee.
So one of the discussions that went on around this before it was brought to Assembly is that if there was only if there was only the electronic vote where it is in the printed version of the appendix right now, that if there was ever a desire to go to a secret ballot vote, that we would have to have a 3/4 vote of the Assembly, and that sometimes it's in the best interest of the Assembly that it's easy to move into a secret ballot vote. So that is the only reason for that. Another reason is that this way we can keep that level that is like a hand vote, but be able to use the iClickers for it. And then if we want to move up levels, to either a secret ballot or to a electronic vote with your name recorded, we can move up to those levels if we want.
President Agarwal?
I think a difference between a hand vote and an electronic vote is the great thing about the electronic vote is that you can capture the results. And the intent was to publish those results on on our website and whatnot, and it's easier to show, with the iClicker you can show pie charts, you can show kind of how everyone voted. There's a lot more flexibility with that. I think that's why this was suggested in the first place.
Vice President Hale, did you have a comment?
Just sort of a question to the Assembly. In what instances would it be in the interest of the Assembly to use anonymous voting?
Responses or comments? Vice President Dooner?
We were kind of intending that as the sort of default. Basically the equivalent of the hand vote, but electronic.
Representative Thomas.
I don't really think it is that big of a deal for them. I think by that, you're just taking away the ambiguity of it. Because if you're electronic voting, you do have two ways to do it. So if you say which one's in there and where you would put it, it's not really saying you have to use it this way, but it takes away the ambiguity of it.
Representative Mueller.
One reason I think the electronic vote anonymous would be more useful than a hand vote in general is that it ensures that we have quorum. And I know, like, as secretary last year, sometimes I had to count in the middle of meetings, and that was kind of annoying.
Further points? Vice President Hale?
I guess sort of to recast my question, unless there is a reason that we need to be absolutely anonymous, which I don't know if there is, I don't see much difference between 2 and 4 in this case. I mean, we can have an electronic vote and publish how every person votes, or we can have an electronic vote and just choose not to publish that.
Vice President Dooner?
That's more what, yeah, we're just codifying that here so that in the future it doesn't rely on precedent, it relies on the bylaws.
Representative Thompson, do you have a comment? Okay. Any further points for discussion? Okay, seeing none. President Agarwal?
Move to table Bill B.21-03, excuse me, 02.
Second.
Representative Malloy. Oh, excuse me, yes.
Yeah, there was no dissent raised when it was passed, so Anthony, if you could just put that to the Assembly.
No, there was dissent.
Well, the easiest way is to just put it to, he raised a question, so what that does is interrupt the vote. So, Anthony, if you could restate the vote for the Assembly. It doesn't need moved again because of the question, but it needs confirmed again that there's no dissent. So.
All right. There's been a motion to table the bill.
Amendment.
We are voting on the amendment right now. All right. So there was the motion to amend. It was seconded. And then we went into discussion. Discussion is over. We are now going to take a vote on the amendment. Right. Representative McHenry.
I move to vote on Representative Dooner's amendment.
Okay. All in favor of Vice President Dooner's amendment as put on display for us, please signify if you are in favor of the amendment right now by raising your hand.
Please raise them high above your head so we can get an accurate count.
All right, all opposed? Abstentions? The amendment passes. All right, now, Vice President Hale. Okay. Any dissent? All right, the bill is tabled. Moving into new business, Representative McHenry.
I move to introduce Bill B21-03.
Is there a speaker in the pro? Vice President Shaw.
So this is basically a bill for rolling funding for the past 2 weeks. I have all the groups that came in to request an amount, and we have the approved amount on the side. I'm open to points.
Points for the speaker. Representative Williams.
In the appendix, appendix A, where it lists dates, we have several dates that are not present on here, such as for the undergraduate mock trial, for the registration fees, students for sensible drug policy speaker, and several others that were approved that we don't have dates for. Do we actually have those dates?
I can find out.
Further points for the speaker? Thank you, Vice President Shaw. Is there a speaker in the con? All right. Then we move into discussion. Assembly, please remember that this is a new bill as well, and we will have to table it. We will not be voting on it tonight. Any points for discussion? Vice President Hale? Is there any dissent? President Agarwal.
I have a question for the speaker. Just wondering why the speaker for students and students for sensible drug policy, the speaker was that was not funded any money at all. Does TBA mean that they didn't know who they were going to invite, or
No, they knew who they were going to invite. The reason for that was it's because they wanted a case faculty member, and usually when there are speakers, they do it for free. So, thank you.
Colleen?
No.
Vice President Cruz.
I'm just curious where the Society of Women Engineers is going, that they need airfare for 10 people. Like, where are they going and what is that for?
This is a national conference, and I believe, Finance Committee, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that they're going to California, but I'm not sure.
they weren't funded
Representative
any money
Williams.
for it anyways?
Just to clarify, it was not approved.
Yeah.
$0 for.
Just curious.
Further points on the bill? All right. Vice President Hale.
I move to table the bill.
Any dissent? Okay. Seeing none, the bill is tabled. With that, we move into the nominations portion of tonight's business. Representative McHenry.
I move to open nominations for the College of Arts and Sciences. Second.
Okay. Does anyone have any nominations for a position for the College of Arts and Sciences? Representative Moeller.
I would like to nominate Katarina Velikovic. The last name is spelled Velickovic. In addition, I'd also like to nominate Angela North and Catherine Bussert.
Vice President Cruz.
I'd like to nominate Kayla Gray.
Any further nominations for Representative College of Arts? Representative Paul, did you have a nomination? Granted. Any further nomination? Representative Fitch. Any further nominations before we move on? All right. With that, we will leave those nominations open. Do I have, the speaker will entertain a nomination, or a motion to open nominations for School of Engineering. Seconded. Nominations for School of Engineering. Any nominations for School of Engineering? Representative Gallo.
I'd like to nominate Ben Brown.
Any further nominations? All right. Those nominations will also stay open. Do I have another motion? Vice President Dooner? Any nominations for the Weatherhead School of Management? Vice President Cruz?
To nominate Charity Taylor.
Representative Fitch? Any further nominations for the Weatherhead School of Management? Vice President Dooner. Are there any nominations for the freshman commuter representative position? Any nominations? All right. All these nominations will remain open until our next General Assembly meeting, hopefully. We will now move into open forum, and we will begin with the USG feedback report.
Okay, so we've had a couple of things. We had a request for looking into the bookstore and seeing if we can just look into the pricing strategy of the bookstore, which VP Hale is working on right now. Our Representative Williams really loves USG, and if you want to tell him why you love USG, he'd love to get your email. There's a request to turn the USG website into a wiki, and there's also a request from Representative DeBaz to put up the retreat photos.
Right. Thank you, Secretary Brown. President Agarwal at this time would like to lead a discussion on vacancies.
Okay, guys, so I talked about this earlier. I just want to have a quick 7-minute discussion after I introduce what I want to talk about, and it's our vacancy situation. As you can probably tell, we have a lot of vacancies, and for the past couple of weeks, all we've been dealing with is vacancies. And I'm actually very impressed that you guys came with nominations today. That's very encouraging. I'm really happy to hear that. But let's keep the nominations coming in. However, what I'd like to propose, and I've already passed this by the executive board, and we've mulled over it a little bit, talked about it, and thought it was appropriate to bring it up to you guys, was whether we should I'll be electing people every week, or maybe consider a new strategy where we elect once a month, or once in 2 weeks, something like that. This was proposed 2 assemblies ago because we had a similar situation, and I have listed some pros and cons that I've collected from exec and whatnot about Parliamentary McKee. Would it be possible to decrease the size so that you can put all of the comments on there? I have a sheet of pros and a sheet of cons that you can see.
You guys read that okay?
Can you still read it? Or?
Close enough. Make the font bigger.
Okay, well, in any case, about this strategy where what we would do is we'd leave nominations open. Stay with me, guys. We'd leave nominations open and then only vote, do an election at 1 GA a month, or 1 GA every 2 weeks, as I mentioned. And a pro of this is that discussing with Parliamentarian McKee, we have seen there's no foreseeable violations of our Constitution or bylaws by doing this. Our Constitution, with regards to vacancies, our operating documents say that we must at least leave the nominations open for a week and advertise these nominations to the entire Assembly a week before we intend to elect. So we can keep them open as long as we'd like and advertise them as long as we'd like. There's no rules saying that we need to fill the vacancy immediately after it opens. There's nothing in our documents that says that. So we would be allowed to have such a strategy. The question is, would you guys be okay with that? And I have cons here and some pros. There's by no means is this an exhaustive list. There are maybe some cons and pros that I did not consider, or the exec board did not consider, and that's why at this point I'd like to have a little discussion about whether this strategy would be best for the Assembly, and then we would discuss it further to see if we'd like to implement it for sure during the executive board meeting on Thursday, and anyone is welcome again to join us in that discussion.
Right, we will set 7 minutes aside for this discussion. Representative Thompson.
All right. I was on exec 2 years ago when this originally came up, and we didn't implement it due to a few reasons. As I recall, our number one thing was saying that it would be I guess, it would boost the morale of GA, but it would also decrease the morale of any candidate that comes forward, because what if we advertise it for a week, and then, that's at the beginning of the month, and then we were like, oh, sorry, you're not going to have an election for a whole month. That's, that's almost a third of a semester. Secondly, it's only been, this is our 4th meeting. I don't think this is necessary to bring up yet. When this originally came up, I believe it was like in January or February, and we were having elections for a long time at that point. So I would say I'm 100% against this.
Representative Williams.
I'd like to point out that I guess any member of GA could still motion to, or move to open elections or hold an election at any point should it be seconded and voted upon by Assembly. This would simply just be a measure to speed up efficiency, and that we would, as Assembly, agree for the most part to delay elections. It's not saying like if there's somebody that's just really super excited, we couldn't. But the other thing I'd like to say is I'm really in favor of this, actually, because it seems like there's been some times where it's just like we have a candidate where, you know, they're there, and that's why we fill the vacancy, and then they leave a month or two later. So, and I feel like that's a bigger waste of our time.
Representative Gallo.
I'm actually against this. I don't see why we need to have specific rules, we need rules, but we don't need something so strict like this. If someone doesn't seem like they're going to be a contributing member to USG, just don't vote for them. I haven't voted for people that have been elected because I didn't think they would contribute. I mean, just because they're there and not running against anyone doesn't mean you have to vote for them. That's just my thought.
Vice President Shaw.
I'm kind of with Skylar on not having it like once every month. I'd rather, like, I understand it could be once every 2 weeks, but at the same time, we could have it to where, like, if whoever is running, whoever wants to be a candidate, they can, instead of saying, oh, like, we're going to hold off elections for 2 weeks, we could say, oh, you can come in, you know, experience GA for the first week, and then the next week, you know, come and speak with us. So they get a chance to experience it and, you know, kind of get used to it, as well as, you know, like, we can observe their behavior and see how they like it or not.
Representative Moeller.
I think we just need to follow the notifying the constituency rule. I know we haven't done that in the past. I think we just need to make sure that everyone in the constituency knows.
Representative Malloy.
I'd like to reiterate what Kevin said. I think a lot of the problems that we have that we want to improve with this idea can be solved if we advertise the vacancy more. So if we were to advertise the vacancy more in just a single week, we could still get more nominations, we could still get more nominees. And I've noticed tonight, it's a little bit disturbing that I kind of realized that most of the nominations are just friends of GA members. And I really wish that that wasn't the case and that it was open to more of the constituency, all of which could be solved by advertising it more.
Vice President Hale, do you still have a comment?
I was just gonna, if I understand this right from what we've talked about in exec and what we're talking about here, exec is really just looking for GA's opinion and helping to guide how we set agendas in the future. But, you know, as Representative Williams said, anyone can bring up an election if we need to. But I mean, this is really just guiding the exec as we set agendas. This is not like a hard and fast rule.
President Agarwal.
Absolutely. This is not a rule at all, actually. This is just a strategy. We can implement this or not implement this as we choose. Here was our main reason for bringing this up at all. When we had this situation in January, as Schuyler, Representative Thompson mentioned, GA's morale just went down the chute. And what we're trying to, what the purpose of General Assembly is to just discuss student issues. And what's been happening is 2/3 of our meeting is an election. And by the time, and I mentioned this in the pros, by the time we get to open forum, people are exhausted. And they're just about ready to leave. And what I think, this is not the primary purpose of General Assembly, and I by no means don't want people to come forward for nominations. We absolutely want more people to come to GA and be part of the Assembly, but at the same time, the exec board would like GA to have its actual purpose, which is to discuss student issues and not just constantly be electing. So we can choose whatever schedule we want, once a month, once in 2 weeks, you know, once in 3, whatever. You know, this is very flexible. It's just we didn't want to do it without getting your approval. That's all, or your suggestions.
Vice President Cruz.
I guess my main concern with this strategy is just that it seems to me that it is not necessarily unfair, but dishonest, I guess, something along those lines to our constituents. I feel that vacancies should be filled as soon as possible. And no, that doesn't mean we have to elect someone just because they're around. But I think that we should give anyone an opportunity to be elected at any meeting if that's what we need, because vacancies leave people unrepresented, and that is completely unfair.
Okay. Time's almost up, so I'll take the last two comments, starting with Representative Moeller.
Echoing everything Laura just said, that was beautiful. But I also feel like this is sort of the easy way out. I think it's saying that we don't necessarily need to advertise right away that there's a vacancy. We can wait and not advertise as heavy. I think it's the easy way out.
Representative Thompson.
I really feel like this is cutting off your nose to spite your face. There's reasons why the elections were taking 2/3 of the assembly, and that's not necessarily the reason why GA was demoralized due to elections. There could be a multitude of other reasons. First of all, it's January. Second of all, you know, as I recall, discussions were going on for far too long. People were just repeating. So I think you're really attacking the symptom rather than the problem.
I feel very, very strongly that it can be more aggressive. You know, I love the idea of reaching the constituency very directly and making announcements, posting it on bulletin boards or whatever. But really, it's your call. And if you want hour and a half meetings, that's what this means. That's all. You know, the only other thing that bothered me about it, at the time it was, is that the president and the exec board and the assembly, it was perpetuating anti-PR thing. It constantly reaffirmed that the only thing the USG was doing was replacing itself. So if the lesson here from this discussion is that you all need to do a better job of PRing the vacancies, then this will have been worth it. And who was it that said that, Tim, I think it was you, James, or Jim? Yes, that it's, everybody's just nominating. Just something to think about. Clearly this needs to be talked about again.
We have reached time. I will entertain a motion to extend discussion. Well, we have to set a time first. Representative McHenry.
I move to extend discussion time.
Define a time, please.
5 minutes.
Second. Any dissent? Vice President Cummins.
So
What?
that means we
So
will-
we are now in discussion about how much time.
No. Point of order.
We're voting on whether or not to end this discussion.
We need to end discussion.
So we need time ran out. So right now we need a 2/3 vote to extend the discussion on this particular topic matter.
Vice President Cruz.
Is that by 5 minutes or end discussion period? Can we go for a different amount of time?
You could motion to make an amendment to the specific amount of time for which to extend discussion. That is allowed.
Vice President Shaw. Second. All right.
Just make it a friendly? You should just ask them if they'll change it to 2?
Yes.
All right, you made a motion, so can you change it?
Oh, in that case, friendly.
Right. Okay. So there's been a motion, just to make this very simple, motion to extend discussion by 2 minutes. And it has been seconded. Yes? Any dissent? Representative Malloy.
No, since there's dissent on this, we need to have a 2/3 vote, and if the vote passes, then we extend discussion.
Okay.
So, if you're in favor of extending discussion by 2 minutes, please signify by raising your hand.
All opposed? Abstentions? All right. One abstention. Motion to extend discussion fails. So we are now done with discussion. Yes?
For your comments, guys. It's not like, just like Colleen said, we'll probably discuss it more and get a final idea of, you know, what we should do about this in the future. But this is no bill, no resolution, no legislation. It's just getting some opinion on how to run our business. But thank you again for your comments.
All right, we are now in just regular points for open forum. Vice President Cruz.
I'm just curious, like, since it's open forum, did we have to vote on any of that since it was just a discussion anyways? I'm just curious.
We are still in assembly, so. Representative Shaw.
So I believe during the retreat, for all those who were present, we did discuss during our brainstorming session the idea of creating a mission statement, one, to help all of us to supplement our idea of our purpose here, and also to help the campus better understand what we do here as USG and how we serve them. I would like to propose that we create a task force that would take this task underhand. And so I would specifically be asking any upperclassmen who have the experience with USG and stuff could contact me, and any underclassmen that were also interested in helping write the mission statement, please contact me. And if I could also request President Agarwal to be in attendance at that task force session. Thank you.
Further point? Treasurer Schloff.
At the retreat, there was quite a few people that was interested in playing euchre, and I wanted to see a show of hands if we had like a USG euchre night, you know, maybe every other week or once a month. Okay, I'm gonna take that as yes. I'm gonna start that.
Representative Williams.
So I've had several students complain to me about the turnaround of housing requests and of maintenance forms. Apparently, from what somebody said, that there are different groups of people who look at different types of forms or requests, and they're not all checking the request regularly enough. So, for example, there was a certain sorority who had a freezer out for several weeks, and it was not looked into because apparently nobody was checking that form. So,
Representative Moeller.
There's a disturbingly little amount written about caucuses in the operating bylaws. I hadn't really looked through these recently, but so it basically just says that caucuses are made up of all members elected from a like constituency. You can actually really boil it down to just that. I'd like to look into defining purposes for caucuses.
Parliamentarian McKee, do you have a response?
Sort of response. I would just like to announce that, yeah, I know the operating documents. I'm looking into a lot of changes and revisions for this year. So if you're interested in helping out with those, please contact me. You can work with me and the Judicial Board on those.
In the interest of time, I'm only going to be taking one or two more comments for open forum. Vice President Cruz.
This is just back to Representative Williams. I'm not sure how most of the sorority fraternity houses operate, but I know like my chapter, we operate under a different housing situation where we're not on the campus housing. So even if we submit maintenance requests and things, nothing happens. We have to contact people through our own housing management service. So it could be different because our house is different from a lot of the campus houses, but that might be part of the issue.
Representative Ruska, did I pronounce that right?
It's Ruska.
Ruska, thank you.
I just like to speak that issue. I do live in a sorority and manage that house. Even if I contact, we're on the system to go through maintenance. We've had lights in bathrooms and other safety issues that have taken over a week to get fixed. So even if you don't live, you're under a different operating system, that's clearly not excusable.
Okay. Any other points for open forum? Vice President Hale.
Just brief sort of in response to that, one thing you should do if there is something that's safety related or you think is very urgent, walk straight to the area office and say, I have an emergency maintenance request. If you don't do that, it's not going to be fixed very quickly.
All right. Any further points for open forum, please use the USG feedback form or contact a member of exec directly. Colleen, do you have an advisor's report?
I do. Colleen. Okay, so I asked you to bring your notebooks. I don't know exactly what page it's on. I want you to turn to
meeting.
Okay, so you're probably wondering what the heck this is. About maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I worked with outgoing officers, executive officers of that year, and then some alum, USG alum. And together we created what we felt were skill sets that will develop as a result of your experience in USG. And that's what these are. These are, then what we did is we assessed, and USG has learning outcomes, UPB has learning outcomes, COC, et cetera, the groups we advise. We then assessed whether or not your perceptions of these skill sets were on target. You know, whether you felt you had competency and whether or not it was where you wanted it to be at this juncture of your career within USG. You came out very strongly. You felt very, very equipped to facilitate meetings, to connect with networking. You were way off the charts in a lot of the skill sets based on your experiences in USG. It makes sense. You work with a lot of administrators compared to the other groups that my office advises. Where everyone was very, very weak, that self-perception, real self-perception, was in having a relationship with faculty, which I think is certainly something that we have worked, trying to create opportunities and discussions. So we listen to those. We listen to the learning outcomes, and they help us in terms of creating assessment. Now, how do they help you? And some of you have heard this spiel before, but it is incredibly important that you understand. If you go to an interview, or if you're writing a statement for grad school or for med school, or you're sitting in any kind of an interview where they ask you to give real-world experience on what you do, it's so much better to be able to use some of the language that's in there, or talk about some of the skill sets that others in positions in leadership don't know to do. So as a member of the USG, they say, what did you love about that? You could be a little bit more clear. I love the ability to network with administrators and understand that I have the power to take a grassroots initiative and take it to fruition. I loved the ability to communicate through email, and I watched myself strengthen in that communication style. So this is a great resource when you're communicating either via your resume, your vita, a personal statement, any of those things. This is real hands-on stuff. So please use it. Many of you will be thinking about an internship next year. Some of you are thinking about co-oping, any of the experiential-based programs or any of the jobs that you want to apply for. This can be really helpful. It takes USG off the page of this much on your resume, and it makes it a more specific experience. So that's why we created it. Hopefully, you'll use it. I think by the end of this year, it'll be time to reevaluate it and to see if there's skill sets we're missing. I think where we might be a little bit weak is in the technology area, so we'll have to take a look at that. Do you guys have any questions? Okay, next week I will be handing out. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll send it. Maybe I'll work with you, Tom, if you don't mind. I want to send you a survey of topics for personal development that either I will cover or that will cover through other ways. And finally, the last part of this is hot off the presses in a very pretty pink page are all the sessions for this year's leadership conference. These were confirmed today. So it's on the website, but sometimes I find it helpful to have it in a handout. So I printed them off for you. Take a peek at what there is, and hopefully you'll be able to join and continue your own leadership development.
Right. Thank you, Colleen. Oh, was there a question? Okay. Moving into announcements, I believe we have one starting with Representative Smith.
So today is a very exciting day. It's not only is it Tuesday and Nacho Tuesday, but it is our very own Kevin Homer's birthday. If we could quickly sing happy birthday to him, I really appreciate it.
Lead us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kevin. Happy birthday to you. Announcements. Representative DeBoz. Representative Moeller.
Thank you, everyone. If you have questions about nachos, direct them to me after the meeting. There might also be cake at Nacho Tuesday this week.
Vice President Cruz.
In case anyone was wondering why I walked in 5 minutes late carrying a large box, I happen to have USG t-shirts. So if you want your t-shirt, come see me after GA and we will get things squared away.
Colleen.
I brought some flyers for the 5K I mentioned at the retreat. This is a great opportunity to do one of two things. One is that I already have 5 lovely names of volunteers from this organization who's going to get partnership because you're helping to volunteer the day of the race. 7:30 a.m. I know, what an honor. But if you want to help volunteer, do some philanthropy, this is the thing. 7:30, October 15th in the morning. You'll help us with the race route. You'll be done by 9:30. And if you are a runner or if you know folks who run, please send this. This is not a freebie because it's a donation. It's a $15. I think it's $15. Oh, $10 for students. $10. So it's all of the benefits. 100% of the benefits go to the Stephanie Tubbs Jones Award, which is given to underrepresented students every spring.
Thank you, Colleen. Representative Fitch.
Next Tuesday at 5:30, we're going to have a Pizza Olympics meeting in the USG office, so if anyone that's interested in coming and help, come meet with us.
Any further announcements? President Agarwal.
All right, before I make my last announcement, I just want to just say a point of respect. You can use your mobile devices sparingly during GA, but when we have a speaker, a guest speaker, I ask that you please give the speaker attention and put your mobile devices away, just as a point of respect for them. That's during speakers. And lastly, just want to remind you, next week, administrative speed dating. Colleen just talked about how one of the learning outcomes that we kind of lacked on last year was interaction with faculty. So this is a prime opportunity. In fact, it's a mandatory opportunity, so you have to be there. Don't forget, 6:15 p.m. Whoa, 6:15 p.m. in the USG office. And then the actual event starts at 7, and it's going to be awesome. So please be there, Twing Atrium, 6:15, USG office.
Thank you. Secretary Brown.
If you guys could put your placards up at the front, that way you guys don't lose them next week. That way we'll bring them back for you. That'd be awesome. Thanks.
Please do so. Vice President Dooner.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Any dissent? Meeting adjourned.